Across every culture and historical era, humans have shared a common experience, the sense of a spiritual realm or a moral compass. This presence is so universal that it suggests spirituality is not just a cultural invention, but a biological phenomenon. This distinguishes us from other species. While animals generally operate on rigid genetic instincts, humans evolved an unprecedented level of behavioral plasticity. We aren't locked into fixed patterns. We evolved free will, the unique capacity to improvise, invent new behaviors, and ignore our basic biological drives. From a Darwinian perspective, this flexibility is a massive liability. Free will allows for jagged vectors of choice that have nothing to do with survival. When individuals choose to never reproduce or engage in reckless self-destruction, they are effectively failing the mission of evolution. If humans are capable of such dangerous freedom, we have to ask why we haven't driven ourselves to extinction. Charles Darwin's work suggests that for a species to survive this kind of plasticity, there must be a hidden mechanism that regulates behavior from within. To survive the gift of free will, evolution had to develop a biological leash that keeps our actions aligned with our long-term fitness. We can visualize this regulation as a bicameral hierarchy. Our subjective self is a pilot steering daily life, but not in command. The pilot takes orders from a captain below deck, the unconscious frontal lobes. This captain performs strategic Darwinian calculations, nudging us toward survival. We don't see the math. Instead, we experience the results as an intuitive sense of the right thing to do, a sudden pang of conscience, or an unshakable gut feeling that guides our decisions. Because these directives arrive in our consciousness without a visible source, we naturally perceive them as an external authority. This neurobiological controller, hidden in the frontal lobes, provides the physical basis for what humans experience as the voice of God. Evidence for this biological regulator appears when we look at individuals where the system breaks down. Clinical psychology identifies a group of people who lack this internal guide entirely, sociopaths. Because their frontal lobe function is impaired, sociopaths don't experience genuine guilt or long-term strategic restraint. They are rootless and autonomous, living as the literal version of the godless. The system also reveals itself when the brain is pushed to the limit by extreme physical stress, starvation, fever, or psychosis. These states break down the neurological blockade that normally keeps the captain and the pilot separate. During delirium, the conscious mind directly encounters its own biological survival software. The resulting hallucinations of hearing God are the overt, though malfunctioning, manifestation of our internal controller. Whether we look at the absence of restraint in a sociopath or the religious delusions of the psychotic, the evidence suggests the God function is a physical part of how our brains normally work. If the frontal lobe handles the survival math automatically, why do we still build temples and practice religious rituals? Our conscious minds can't interpret raw evolutionary algorithms. We simply feel a constant, undeniable need to seek meaning and scratch the itch of our moral programming. Organized religion serves as a cultural interface, a system evolved to mediate between our consciousness and our unconscious controller. Much like art or erotica, religion is a cultural byproduct that stimulates and manages a fundamental biological drive. It provides a framework for the internal experiences generated by our evolution. Grounding religious experience in biology affirms its importance, showing that spiritual life is a functional necessity of our evolutionary history. The gods are real, and they are important, but they are material entities residing inside our nervous systems. These internal gods do not demand worship in a supernatural sense, but we must acknowledge them as the biological architects that prevent our free will from leading us to extinction.